Most people stay stuck not because they lack talent, but because they keep allowing their past to inform their future. My friend, you are not a product of your path. You are 100% a product of your decisions. Today's video, I hope I give you a tough love and shove conversation that helps you see some things. I, in fact, had a different video series scheduled for this week, but when I tell you this one here was pulling at my heartstrings, we're here. So let's talk about it, okay? You may not hear this enough, but you're not broken, you're not delayed, you're not behind, but you maybe be assigning and aligning your identity with a path that is no longer meant for you. Or maybe it didn't even belong to you in the first place. I was doing an Abraham Hicks affirmations this morning, and I was reminded of this when she said something. And she said, your path doesn't determine your future, your decisions do. This really resonated with me, not in this hyper motivational way, but it was a conviction. And that's what led me to decide to create this video. It was a conviction, like a reminder, a wake-up call that I needed to hear again. Because I personally have had a lot of paths in this here life at 40 years old. I come from a family with more prison sentences than college degrees. As a first generation college graduate, as the first to graduate, to make it to 20 years old without a baby on my hip, the first woman in my family to go into the service. I didn't strive to become an outlier on purpose, but somewhere really early on in my life, I decided that I was not going to live inside a story that I didn't choose. When I finished boot camp, I got a tattoo of a phoenix on my back. I was 19, no kids, no marriage, no business, no real plan. But the one thing I did know was that I was rising. To what? I have no clue. No real direction of where I was going, but I knew I was rising into something higher than where I was at that time. And now here we are, 20 years later, almost 12 years of marriage, 4 kids, self-employed, managing grief, managing caregiver burnout, and all the distractions and doubt that comes with that, right? But here's the thing, I still have to remind myself every day to make the same decision that I did 20 years ago. What I've learned, hear me, it's not the hard path that breaks us. I know you may not believe this, but it's this subtle decision that we make to stop choosing, to abandon your agency, to let the fear and pain of your past start to speak louder than the future that's calling you, right? And then we start to align our identity with what we survived, to the statistics, to what our parents did or didn't do, to what we managed to accomplish in comparison to others. And then suddenly you wake up one day, 40 years old, and you realize you are living a life that makes sense to everyone else, but it feels completely out of alignment from who you know you were meant to be. This version of you that's higher, that you know you can ascend to rise into, even if you don't really know what that version of you is. We stop deciding, we start explaining, and then worst of all, we start settling. But I really need you to hear this with clarity today, my friend. The pivot is not in your path, and that miracle that you've been praying for, it is in your decision. Every single transformation in my life has come back to this one thing, and I've talked about it in a previous video, agency. And not just agency, but the courage to use my agency, to have the courage to declare, this is what I want, this is who I am, and this is how it's going to be. And then act like it, walk my talk. So inside of my mentorship that I'm soon to be launching, I teach what I call a 3-2-1 method. And I created it because I knew that my courage could only go as far as I was willing to take it. It is really easy to say you want something. It is a different level of courage to make a decision every day to back that up, to stop avoiding the call, and to stop treating your path, your past, like it's your prison. Earlier today, I was listening to an old Gary Vee video. He said something along the lines of, everyone has their own genius, but most people let fear or meaningless distractions take them out of it. And that made me think, how many of us are removing ourselves from our own genius, undermining that genius because we are aligning our identity with an outdated version of ourselves? Hear me, listen, Linda, listen. I know you're tired. Maybe you've been navigating your clients. You got these kids, caregiving, marriage, weight loss, grief, burnout, anxiety or depression, dishes in the sink, a never-ending laundry list, and a mind that never seems to turn off, right? You probably had to start over more times than you care to admit. And you probably have watched other people pass you by who didn't work nearly as hard as you have. And I know you're wondering, is it too late for me? No, my love, it's not too late. but it is time to decide. To decide to stop letting your path tell you who you are. To decide to stop replaying that same loop of what ifs and almost over and over again. It's time to decide to stop ignoring that part of you that has always known that you were meant for more, that you were called to rise, right? Because you are, because deep down you already know this. And I am not saying that it will be easy. I promise you it will not. I am saying it is going to be worth it, 100%. And this is my lived experience. Once you stop seeing your identity as a reflection of your past and start to choose it, who you are and who you're going to become from a place of power, you become unstoppable. You become unshakable. You stop just surviving. You stop waiting. You stop seeking permission and validation, and you start to lead, and you start to rise, and you start to live again. To live again, my friend. Every time I feel like I'm losing momentum, every time I feel stretched thin, or like I'm shrinking back into my old patterns, because I am very much human and very much in the trenches with you, I come back to this truth. I am always one high courage decision away from being exactly who I came here to be. I'm always one high courage decision away from being exactly who I came here to be. And not just in my business, in my body, in my motherhood, in my marriage, in my content, in my peace. Right? I don't always have the energy. I don't always have the answers, but I always have a decision to make, and so do you. Now, I want to give this to you as a reflection and an exercise for you to exercise your own agency today. I want you to ask yourself, what are you still identifying with as a part of your identity that no longer serves you? Write it down, name it, do what I do, put it to a candle and burn it and say goodbye. We are no longer aligning our identities with whatever that is, because it stopped serving you years ago. Number 2, a courageous commitment. I want you to make one high courage decision today. Something small but intentional. Reach out to someone you've been meaning to reach out to. Shut off your distractions and your notifications. My phone is in do not disturb every single time I turn this camera on, just to make sure you get the best of me, my fullest potential right now, and the energy that I bring in this camera. No distraction. Go for a walk without your phone. Look up sometime and see the beauty and goodness that is around you all the time. And say no to something that you probably already said yes to, and maybe you already know you should have said no to. Here's how you prove to yourself that you can trust yourself again. This is what you do. It's exercising this agency, exercising courage, having a decision, and then implementing, using the courage, taking the next step. And then I want you to write down this as a prompt. We've already talked about removing the identity that you've aligned with that doesn't serve you, but let's declare the version of you that does, the one you're gonna rise into. So here's your prompt. Write this down, okay? I am no longer who I used to be. Maybe you want to give a name to that. I am no longer a procrastinator. I am no longer a perfectionist. I am no longer an angry mother. I don't know. I am deciding today that I am blank. You fill that gap in. Friend, you don't have to wait until you feel ready to decide to change your life or change how you feel about yourself. You don't need another planner. You don't need a 30-day ritual or routine or checklist to do this. You don't even need more time. You can literally pause this video and do this. You just need one powerful decision, and I assure you it's powerful. To believe again, to act again, to rise again. Just like I did 20 years ago, and just like I choose to do every single day, despite every reason that I have to not think so. You're not here by accident. Your story is not over. It's not too late. Let this be your moment to reclaim your time, okay? You get to choose, starting now. If you are new here, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you get notified whenever I post the next video. I assure you, if you like this video, you're gonna love my content. We are just getting started around here. Thank you so much for watching.